Hello, good morning, everyone. Let me introduce first myself. I'm Sanket Pandya. First of all, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Let me first introduce myself. I'm Sanket Pandya. I'm working as a technical lead into the Rishabh software. I'm having more than 12 years of experience, and most of my experience is in SharePoint as well as into from that recent few years working into Power Platform as well. So that I have that work with most of the all the flavors of SharePoint and that also working with Power Platform as well. Uh, okay, so today's we are that talking about custom connectors into Power Platform. So what custom? Let me go to this agenda first. So on that we'll go with the what is a connector, then why use custom connector, then custom connector lifecycle, then we'll go with how to create a custom connector and how to that to use custom connectors into Power Platform. So last two will be on that more mostly on the practical one, and that we are going to showcase it to you with that directly on that developing one custom connector. So you'll also get detail about it and knowledge about it. So let's start first with that connector. What is a connector in Power Platform in terms of that Power Platform we are saying? So connectors are nothing but a wrapper around an API that allows that to that getting underlying data or services uh, that we can utilize into our Power mostly into Power Automate and Power Apps. Okay. Also, we can that if you are having any Azure background, Logic App is also almost similar in that providing functionality, same as Power Automate. So we can utilize same custom connectors into our Logic App as well. So this is that basic definition about connectors. Now in that why that what it is again that adding one more point that uh, they are providing you that way of using it. They connectors have their own actions and triggers. What are now that actions and what are triggers? So triggers are nothing but that to initiate something. Let's say when a record is created or when item is deleted or document is created or email arrives into my mailbox. These are all that actions we can say triggers. So which we can that start something or we can that start our flow or start taking some action. So these are all the triggers and actions are nothing but that what action you want or what that action we want to perform. Let's say that send an email if that data is added or that create a record into list if that email arrives. So these are all our actions that creating a record, sending email, or that calling even that one is that calling an HTTP request as well. That is also one of action. So there are a lot many number of actions available against that each connector. Now in that example of popular connectors into Power Platform, that connectors that are it's not mandatory to be Microsoft connector. Microsoft provides Microsoft as well as non-Microsoft connectors as well. All the connectors are available. Even we can that create our custom connector. We can also post over there. And that's what we are that going to learn today. So some of the popular are that you can see also that Salesforce that is also Microsoft. Then Office 365 related all the apps that whether email comes or that whether that someone submits MS forms, that those kind of that connectors are also even Twitter when tweet that arrives or someone mentioned you or anything, then Dropbox document added over there or that anything deleted, Google services and many more. That there are a lot number of connectors. So that connectors, so that mostly there are as of now more than 325 the over to that connectors are available into that Power Platform. some of that these are we have that listed over here. There is that big list which is that not feasible to fill in into this one. Uh, then why we need to create a custom connector? That if if that many connectors are available, then what is the need to create a custom connector? Okay, so I'll give you some scenarios. For example, that there are multiple ways. That let's say for example, if some connectors are available, but some actions or that triggers are not available into that one. So you can extend that by creating your custom collector, you can extend that one uh, to your application. Okay, you can extend those connectors. Uh, in case that if you have some legacy system with you, that which is having a data, and for that connectors are not available, you can create your custom connector, and you can also in that use that legacy system or their data into this modern platform, and you can build quick power apps and flows using that as well. So that is also another use case. And also custom connectors are reusable, so that you don't you create it once and you can use it across your that uh, different your that application, or that apps you create, or that flow you create. So that the question comes that there is already one that action available for HTTP, right? We talked about earlier that if HTTP available, that ultimately we are saying that these are that providing functionality to that to use our underlying API. So we can do same with HTTP as well, that action as well. So why we need that to create a custom connector? Yes, that in that case, I agree with that argument that HTTP request can that solve your problem. But that if you want to do it on a that for particular flow or one time only, that you can do it. For that that one time use, you don't need to create a custom connector. But on against that also that for to use that action, you also having that some technical background. You should have that knowledge about how to use APIs, how to pass the data, what type of that APIs that like get, post, pull, that pull, or anything that what type of action you want to perform. So at least you need some technical background as well to use that one. Plus, if you want to reuse at multiple places, then you need to do that rework again and again. So in that case, uh, you don't need, you can extend, as I've said, that you can extend the features of existing connectors as well using custom. So these are that some scenarios like for simplicity, where that if your user is non-technical, who is using your Power App or that Power Automate to create some that quick apps or that quick approval flows, you can use that if you have created a custom connector, then they'll be that easily able to do that. They don't need to that learn about HTTP request and that their response and request and all those things. Then that reusability and all these things. So these are that some of the things you need to consider before that creating a custom connector. Why I'm creating custom connector, and is it mandatory to create a custom connector? Okay, then why use custom connect? Okay, so then that this in image that we have described some that what test analytics API. We have that custom connector is not any existing connectors are not there. So we can create a custom connector and that use that those connectors into Power Apps and Power Automate both, or even that you can use it into your Logic app. So that's one that use case that I've just that showcase over here. Now in that custom connector life cycle. So to create a custom connector, what should we know that what steps we need to perform? So first is that build and secure your API. We are talking about that since start of this one. We need that API. We'll come into that one. How to build? What are that mandatory things? What type of API we need to that create? I'm coming into next, but I'm just that overall describing you that build and secure your API. First, you need to create a API and that secure your API. Then you need to that describe your API. and that define your connector, or that in easy way that create your connector. Then you can that use your connector across that your Power Apps and Power that Automate. Next two steps are optional. It's not mandatory for at all for any of that custom connectors. But that is that share your connector. You can that if into my tenant I have created one connector and I want to share it with across my that tenant with some users so they can use those connectors into their application. You can that share it uh, with your that colleagues into your tenant. So that is for that sharing is that possible with internal tenant user only. But if you want to use same connector that across that multiple tenants, or that make it that public like other connectors of Twitter, Google, anything of your application, you want to create a connector and make it public, then in that case that you can create a connector and submit your connector to Microsoft for their certifying your connector. Uh, Once they will that certify your connector, then it will be published into that connector list from where you can that use that one. So it depends up to your that requirement, what type of connector you want to create and where you what is your the target audience for that one. You can create a connector and that share your connector according to that one. Now in that let's going deep into this one, how we can do that one. So first is that build your API. So what type of API that you need to develop into that one. So it's simple that any RESTful API you can create, and that can be used into your custom connector. Then that also it's that you can create SOAP APIs as well. That earlier that in early days people used to create SOAP APIs, but unfortunately SOAP APIs are not supported into Power Apps and Power Automate. However, they are supported into Logic Apps. So in case if you have SOAP API, or if you want to use Logic App, you can create a SOAP API, and that can be utilized into Logic App as well. You can that use any public APIs as well, like that coming from Spotify, or that Rackspace, Slack, or anywhere that Clearbit or anything. You can use those open APIs using the authentication method, and you can that create custom connector from that as well. The third option is that you can create that private API that is that not available onto public, or that those will be that only for your that intranet, or that environment only, where you can that interact with your legacy system or your internal database or anything. You can create private API and connect it through that on-premises data gateways. If my that I want to connect with my local SQL server or anything using my that on-premise data gateway, I can do that, and I can then that utilize that into my custom connector. So this is that how to that or what type of API required to build that one. Next thing is that securing API as well. That we have created API, but that we also need to secure it. That if we want to that secure that one, or that publish it to Microsoft, then we can also do that as well. So what type of security that we can do in that we can use OAuth 2.0, generic OAuth. Even when that you can secure your API through that OAuth 2, which is that provided by specific service, like for example Azure, Azure AD, or that Dropbox, or that GitHub. They are also providing OAuth 2.0 services. Then that basic authentication, like that username, password, all that you can use that kind of authentication, and API key, that you can create that API key and pass it using that bearer token or that. So this these are that multiple ways using which you can that create your API, and that publish it, and which can be that utilized into custom connector. Okay. One more thing is that describe your API. Uh, uh, so in that can be used. So I'll that showcase that while creating that custom connector, that you can create the API directly from that if you have that describe your API. For example, if you have created a Swagger file or that open API, that zip file or anything that you have available, you can directly also create custom connector using that as well. So this is having that some way that option available using which you can that describe your API as well. So this is optional. It's not mandatory that you can always describe. Using API endpoint, you can also create that custom connector from blank as well. So we have that done that enough talking, and I hope that basic concept about connectors, why it is being used, and why there is a need of custom connector, and how that what are that dependencies to create a custom connector, what type of that API we need to create. All your that those fundamentals are clear with this one. Okay, so now we are that going to that take a look into a demo. We'll directly that I'll show you how to create a custom connector. Our aim is to that create a custom connector. So I'm not going deep into that how to create API and all those things because that is altogether a separate topic of creating API and all this. So let me go to my environment. So before that jumping into this one, our demo, let me give you that some background about our requirement for a custom connector use case that we are going to cover. For example, that my sales team that came to me and they want to know that they do have that email addresses for all the clients, but they don't have that their background. So they want to know that from their email address, they want to know the details, more details about client, like their full name, their that company name, their in which company organization they are working, their designation, their logo, even their LinkedIn profile, and all those sort of things. That usually that sales and pre-sales people are that working with that one. They are that collecting all this data. So that was a simple that my that requirement. Now we have that one that open API available from Clearbit, which is that providing that us all the information. For example, that I have that entered any user's detail that says Kate Pandya at the rate. It will that give me all the details about that my that profile and details and all those things. Even organization where I'm working, it gives me organization's detail as well and their contact number and details and all those things. If anyone wants to know that want to verify it again, you can that post your that email address over here. We can that put it over here and we can check and verify those details as well. But this is that available as a open API. So we are going to that use this Clearbit API into this that they have their documentation. It's pretty simple. You just need to go and register yourself. It will that create one uh, key app key for you. You can use that app key into your application and you can utilize that one. So it's that much simple. So we are going to use that combined API enrichment API that we are talking about, which gives me that all the details about my that person details as well as company API details. So that before directly jumping into my that Power App or that Power Automate, let's first that verify that that whether these APIs are working or not. So to do that, that usually I use that Postman. So I have that added one API endpoint over here. Same API, that combined API, that person.clearbit.com, a version 2 then combined and fine. Okay, so I've added that one. That into I've passed the data. I've just that into authorization. I've passed token, key token, and I'm just that sending that response requesting. So I'm that it's successful. I'm getting all the data over here. Even that I don't have other. Uh, can I have anyone's email address so we can also verify that with this is working or not? Can anyone provide? Yes, Niran. Can I use, for example, that let me use one of my friends, Devang.Bhausar. He's that working at Gateway. Don't remember exactly their domain, but earlier that it was something like that. Labs.com. So I'll let me try to search that way. Okay, so I here that I also get the details of Devang as well. That I get his full name, there that his location, that he's right now that working in Finland. So location, time zone, which he is, that his bio about that one, company details, and that other, that Twitter details and all other things. That even that into company information, I have that got the company name, their phone numbers, their email address, their that category in which they are that providing. So all these details that easily I'm able to get it from here. Okay. So now we are on that. So this API endpoints are working. So that is verified. So now let's go and create that our custom connector uh, to utilize that one. So there are that multiple ways you can that create a custom connector. Options are there. So there are mainly two options. That either you can that create custom connector from your Power Automate, or you can create a custom connector from your that Power Apps as well. We are that going to use it. However, that whatever custom connector you have created is we knew that we are able to use that same connector across both the application into Power App as well as Power Automate. So it's not dependent on to where you have created. You can use it anywhere. Okay, so I've that come to my that Power Apps under a Dataverse under a custom connectors. I'm just that creating that one. Before that into connections, let me also that remove the earlier connections as well. Okay, that's so okay. No worries. Go to the custom connector. So here that from here we'll start. Here we do have that multiple options to create a custom connector. As earlier we were discussing that you can create a custom connector from blank. You can create a custom connector from Azure services as well. However, still it is under preview mode. So there might be that slight chances it could be having that some changes once it is that fully published. Then that as I told you earlier, that you can that create custom connector using open API files. You can that directly download it from those open API and you can import it over here, and from that URL as well, open API URL, even Postman collection. If you are creating that have Postman collection, you can do that, or you can directly import from GitHub as well. In our case, that let's start from blank. So we'll able to that see all of this detail. Let me name it called user details. Okay, we'll name it user details. You can that provide whatever name you want to that for your custom connectors. Just creating a custom connector. It's kind of that simple wizard where you can that fill on the details. You can upload your icon, whatever you use. That I'm just using Power Platform Bootcamp icon. Here you can also define that background for within icon as well. So if your icon don't have that particular background, you can also use that one. For example, if I'll put 000, you can see that background is being changed to yellow. If I'll put FFF, it's changed to white. Whatever you want, that you can. This is totally optional. Not one. This description that is optional, but I would request that to use this description for most of your custom connectors. That will help users to that understand what this connector about, and they'll get more details how to use that one. So okay, get user details. I'm just providing some description. Earlier we are talking about that for that on-premises data gateway, that where if you want to use that one, this is options for that one. Now that's scheme that HTTP or HTTPS, you can that put endpoint over here. Uh, Over here we are only just parting that pushing this details only, that API endpoint. In my case, it's simply like that. We don't need that HTTP or HTTPS because we are already defining over here. In our case, we don't have any other that further detail based URL. So I'm good with this one. Let's go to next type. So authentication, whatever authentication you have choose into your API, you can define it over here. Okay, and to that my case, it's that we are not creating any other. Just a minute. API key, we are going to use API key because that Clearbit provide us API key, which I do have. We'll use that one into our application. So we are going to use then that what parameter you want to that. Say, let's say we are saying it's API key. What will be the name of my parameter? It is that if you'll go over here, they have that clearly mentioned that authorization. You can use that pass your key using that under the header of authorization. So I'm going to use authorization under my that location is that header. We have seen it. So I'm just passing it to header, not into query. I've just defined. So I'm just passing this authentication type. Now here we are that defining the tree that actions, what action you want to that do into that one. So let's create that one action over here. So let's say define a name of that you can provide any name you want, that let's say get person information. Will that sorry will into the description provide some description. Here that operation ID, let's say that what function you are that going to, just like that into any .NET application code we are using that like your object dot and then properties come. So this is mainly used for that one. What properties into even your Power Automate when you are that selecting on right hand bar, it shows you that different options. So let me open that what exactly it is. If I'll go you into Power Automate and into Power App, if I'll say that this, so this is something dot then or that my this name of my that connector dot and what name we want over here, that we are that defining it over here. So let's call it a person only or whatever that if you want user info, you can user details. Okay. Then that visibility that where it should be that visible. Mostly this will come into picture for Power Automate. For example, that under my flow, we go quickly. Or, let me that quickly that open anything. So always action have that some that visibility where your that action will come. Just a minute, let it load so you'll get more. Yeah. So those are segregated into that advanced or internal or important way. It's taking a bit time. Okay, so for example, that if I want to that put some that actions. So let's say that if I want to define, so you can use that easily see all these actions over here. So this that this comes as an that important if you want that more details. In some cases that we are that going to advanced panel and that we are that getting advanced that actions through app which are not directly listed, but by the typing a name we are only on that able to search that one, not listed over here. So those comes that for which you need to search up for that one, and those comes into that advanced one. Let's create that important so it will be directly visible to anywhere that from one thing. So we are that creating providing this general information. Then that request. So it will be kind of what kind of that request it will be. In our case, we are saying, let's say for this one, I'll that you can that provide details. They are that providing simple options. To you can that use provide sample URL which that you can do it. This is in my case it is a get method. In your case, if it is whatever that post put or whatever that you can use that one. So I'm just importing. So it will be that ultimately giving me the URL for my API endpoint. Also that if you have seen that there was email was there into my query string. So it will have also added my query string over here, and I can that if required I can edit this the details. If I want to make it required, it should be mandatory, I can do that. And visibility again I can do that as well. So whatever that thing I want to add, I can add it. In our case, we are not that marking as mandatory. Then response. What type of response will that supposed to receive it from? Just ultimately, it's a kind of JSON format. So we do have that one. So let me copy this sample one, and that add a default response. It could be that I'm just passing it over here. So that it will generate that JSON and get all the tags from that. And if I'll see on that from here, you can see on that industry group or whatever that uh, whatever we are that returning from this that as a JSON object, all these been have been that added over here. And even that I can if I want to edit anything particular, I can also do that as well. So we are not modifying. So this is that over here we have passed our that request, we have passed our response and all those things. So we are good to go. Our that custom connector is been defined. The next is that code. That here there is also one option that recently introduced. Still it's under a preview where you can that upload your code. If you want to write any code onto this one or call some that function or anything, you can write it down over here by just enabling a code, and you can write your function over here. Even you can that upload the code file that via here, but there are some limitations with that size, that it should not be more than 1 MB. And as of now, it only supports C# code only, which can be that or which should be executed within 5 seconds. So there are certain limitations associated with that. If you want to use, you can that do it later. So we are not we don't have any code or we don't. So let's go and that test this as well. So before that one, that for testing we need to create. So I'm just that creating my connector. So it will take a while to create a connector. Then after that, it will that displayed over here, and it's ready for test as well. Even that Swagger editor as well. If you are that coming from API development background and anything, you are familiar with Swagger, you can also see it over here, a Swagger file over here where you can that see the entire custom connector over here. And from this UI also you can that test your application. Okay, so not going into this one. Let's try to that from here. So let me that create a new connection, which that we have asked for that one. I have that copied my API key. Let me that create that one. Once that API key has been created, it's been that added to your connection list. It's available over here. Then let me go again, that it will redirect always after that creating connection, redirect us. Let me that this was the custom connector we have created. Just moving towards over here. Let me go where. So in that connection is now available over here. Now let me that provide some that uh, email address and test in this one. Okay, so we are getting that 200, which means that this is that successful. Even I have that getting that result as well. Let me know that if I want to test any other detail, like that for Devang, I can also do that. I'm also getting. So yes, that we can say that My custom connector is created and it's working fine over here. I've tested it. So this is how you can that create a custom connector. Now coming to how to utilize them, how to utilize this connector into our application. So as we earlier we have discussed that into my use case where I want to that for my sales team, what they want is that they will put some that email address, and against that they want to that see the details for that user. So what I'll do that I have that already that created my that simple I've created Power App where I will just provide the text box, just one button, and based on to that one my search result it will that provide me some basic details. So for that that first let me remove it. Sorry, not rename, but remove it existing. So how to add your that custom connector? Just add a data, go to connectors, and you can that see your custom connector over here along with that connectors available. So I'm just adding my connector, then it will ask me which connection I want to use. We have already created connection while testing. So I'm going to use same connection because that connection already have my API details and all those things. So over here, what I'm doing, that if I'll show you that I've add one text box, one button, few that labels, and that these are also that few other labels over here to display the data. Sorry, that content over here. We are going to bind it. We are going to fetch it from this one and we are going to bind it. So ultimately our goal is to use our custom connector and get the data. So in our case, that the name it was that particular, but what was name of our connector? User details. Okay, so I'll use that one. User details dot, that it gives me like this one, user details dot user details. This one details dot user details, because that what is which one, we have defined our connectors name as a user detail, and under over here definition we have also that mentioned user details as well. So this that small case user detail is this one. This is the connector name dot this name operation ID which we have defined, that is been used over here. And we are just passing that email address because we do have one query string parameter defined over here into our connector where that we are passing email address. So that I'm that creating that one section of that one, and I'm just that saving it into my two different, that as I that showcase you earlier. Here I'm going to get two details. One is that person detail, and another is that my company detail. So ultimately from my JSON response, it sending back me two that main objects of JSON, and under that one we do have that other if so this is dot person. If I want to that get more that all these details are also available. But let's that create one object of that one and we are storing into that one. And that these labels we have that added it over here. For example, like my LinkedIn profile. If I'll use so if you see that my that object where I've stored data dot LinkedIn dot handler, I've added like for designation. If I want to that from where you have that stored that into which object you have stored, that that again it's simply a label dot, and you don't need to that employment dot title. So that ultimately from JSON that what details are there. So that you can that add it over here. So that I've that mapped it over here. I've also added one image where I've that provide I've got that company data as well. So here I'm that getting all these four data from user info object and one from company info object, which we have created from here while that getting details from my that response of JSON response and storing into user info and company info. Now let's try to run this application. Let me Sanket.Pandya @bishopsoft.com. Trying to get these details from this one. Sanket.Pandya should come. Just a minute. Let's wait for this. Just a minute. Let me verify it. That is one error. Edit inform. Runtime user email field this button. Select. Select that. So what it says, app is not authorized to access this service. Okay. Reopening the app and ensure connection have been resolved. Okay. One thing, let me quickly know that create a new app into that one. Sorry. Click create one blank app, blank, say, platform. Just create one. Just first go add a data, connectors, user details, use user detail connection. So same is there. Go to insert, text, input over here. I'm just adding a one button quickly, just adding a one label over here. But let's first clear this one. We don't need anything over here. Let's just rename this to search on select. Find our whatever object name, then for connector user details dot user details. To this one we are going in email. Over here we are in the just passing text. Just a minute, let me get the name of this one. Text input one, text input one dot text input one dot text. Just passing it, closing it, and what we need is that person info. Just closing it, just to format text to make it more readable. That we are that creating one object of user data. We are calling our custom connector, the method, and passing input parameters, and that we are storing into that. And just a minute, what name user data we have used. So this label, that let me that put this text as user data dot that now I'm directly start getting that name. So let me go to this one. What information I want to show? So user data dot name dot full name. Let's use user data dot name dot full name. We can use that bind it to this one. Now let to make quickly execute this one. This one. Okay, so now we are that getting a data from our custom connector. Okay, so if I want to that add image, let me add one image. If I want to display my company's logo here, where I can see that my company's data under a company, we do have their logo over here. So under a company info dot logo. So for that one, let me first that get company info. So what I'll do, I'll just copy paste this one instead of user data. I'm passing I'm creating one object of company data, user detail, and we are just storing not person info but company info over here into my object. Okay. And what I'll do that under image, usually it requires company data dot logo. It requires that to bind an image, we need to pass the image URL into string. In that good case, we do have that string data available as an output of this one. So if I'll run this one, if I'll again search this one, it shows me that logo for this as well. We can try with anyone else. Can you anyone tell me their email address? Can you provide me your email address so I can Vijay? Uh, office. Yeah. So in that we'll also get company information as well. Vijay. Prajapati @civica.com. Let's civica2.com. Is it correct one? Vijay. Prajapati. Let's try to that search Vijay's. Uh, oh, we are getting Vijay's information as well. Okay, so this is how that the more that we are having that this many of data, whatever you want to use, and from here that you can take it forward this app like that if you want to, we can create one button and we can save it into our database, either into data server or SharePoint or whenever we want to use, and we can generate that our entire database for users as well. So this is how that the use case of custom connectors we have that seen into this one, that what is custom what custom connector, first what connectors are, then why that we need that custom connector, then what are the prerequisite, or what are that life cycle to create, what is the life cycle to create a custom connector, what type of API and all those things needed. Then we have that seen a demo why that we have created a custom connector over here, and we have also utilized that connector into our uh, Power Platform, into one of our application as well. So yeah, this is end-to-end process for that creating a custom connector and utilizing them. We are not covering that API part because that was not part of this scope, because for that we can that create one session, separate session for that one, where we can that how to create API and all those things we can cover. Okay, just want to show one more thing. Properties, if you can see the owners. If I want to that right now, not getting an option. If I want to that download and that upload it to that another tenant, I can also do that as well. Invite other users. So that into our that presentation we were talking about that share your connector with others. So from here that invite other users. So right now it is that I'm only able to access this one, that if I want to share it with other users, I can that add the user's name onto my that from my tenant. I've just that added Avni, so Avni now can also start using that. I can also can view, can share, or can edit, whatever that permission you want to define, you can provide and you can save it. So this is how you can share your connectors within your tenant, and to that share it to publicly, that there is a one separate that blog, entire blog, how to that certify your connectors from Microsoft. they have that their procedures, so you can follow that one, and you can that provide your connector details, and they will verify it, and if they will find fit to publish it, you can publish it. They will publish it, you will publish your connectors as well. Okay, I hope you have that that's one. uh, any questions, feel free to ask.
Thanks, Sanket, for this information, and it's really good content. Let me know if anyone have any questions.
So Sanket, the object you defined, right, like dot person and dot company, those are sequentially executed, right?
It's not sequentially. If I'll go over here, yes, sequentially in the Power Apps, it's up to you that your Power App code, how you are that
Mhm.
defining it. So we are over here that creating different objects, and this
Right.
person ultimately this is that property that what you are written, that your responses you are receiving from your API. So if your API is
Mhm.
returning something that into one object only, this particular API, open API, which we are using is that providing us details into that two endpoints. So that's why we have that defined. If we have one endpoint, you can create a single that object which can store. Because my API was returning into two separate that objects, I have created two different objects. So it totally depend on to your API and its response.
Response. Okay, got you. And the authentication method, like you here,
Mhm.
you used like API app key and all this, right?
Correct.
So can we have other another authentication method like install certificate and all this?
Yes, that as I've mentioned into one of my that what type of authentication that it supports. So these many types of
Mhm.
that authentication you can that use into your API to use into
Mhm.
that create a custom connectors like generic OAuth2, or that OAuth2 from services like that Azure AD or anything recommended that Microsoft recommends if you are that using their platform use or authenticate them through Azure AD, or any basic
Yeah, means
authentication you can also that use in my that
right.
as I'm using OpenAI API, and they do have that their API app key, so I'm using that app key into my that custom connector.
Like in Azure AD, we can create client ID, client secret ID, just similar to app key, right? There also one more method I have seen where we can install certificate, and in order to have broader scope of organization where security and policy is applied, right?
Mhm.
So in Azure AD, we can use certain authentication method called install certificate and all this
Correct.
instead of
Correct.
going with app key or client secret ID like that. So
Exact,
here we have
exactly.
anything like that.
Actually, that actually that part should cover under that that API you are creating. How you want to that
Right.
secure your
Hmm.
API. So that is that portion
Hmm.
of your API creation. So whenever you are that creating your API, you can define that that security level over there,
Authentication method.
and
Yeah.
then that into custom connector. Ultimately, it starts from your API endpoint, and whatever authentication you have that provided, you use that one, and that passes it over here, and then you create it over
Mhm.
here. Okay.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Got you.
Sorry, in between you that we also have one query from Shwet that can you share more? Thank you. Then can you share more details about license required to create the custom connector and also use this Power App which contains a custom connector? Okay, so for licensing, usually that to create a custom connector, you need at least one license user. With the free user, you cannot create a that custom connector. You need at least one Power Platform license user that you require to that one. And again, that if that to use this, that connector into Power App, ultimately depends on that. with whom you are sharing. As I've said, that if you are sharing internally with your user, they can easily that access that one. And if you are that publicly that send it to Microsoft for certification, then as like other that connectors like that Google or Twitter or any other connector, we can easily use that one if it is published. I hope sure I've
Thank
answered
you.
your question.
Thank you for your response. I was actually looking for on the premium license or standard license. Like to create custom connector, do we need a premium license, right?
Premium licensing that yes, I guess that to be frankly that into recent Ignite Microsoft come up with a new licensing model as well for Power Platform. So where they have that modify many things where that their new licensing method was also introduced that is linked with your that Azure billing as well as and where as you go kind of thing. So there are that certain changes into all these licensing. So we need to verify it with this one. But I'll check and I'll get back to you. But I guess that with standard licensing, it should allow.
Okay, okay.
Anyone have that? Any other one have any questions? Please
So,
raise your hand or
Sanket,
put.
uh, Sanket, I have one question. You have shown me that connectors can be shareable and we can give permission view edit like that.
Yes,
So
correct.
when we say view, what content they can access there? They can only see connectors, how it is
Correct.
created and
Uh,
all this.
yeah, how it is created as well as they'll also able to use that connector into their app as well. So to use that
Okay,
connector as well. And view
okay,
that if they want to that want to see some details regarding connectors as well. So at connector level, they can view how that connector is created, what are the details, what are the required parameters, or that what are optional parameters, and all those they can view it. They cannot edit it, and
mm.
they can also
So
use it into Power App or out of it.
and they let's say they want to take a copy of that connector or download
And
that connector.
then they do have that not a download, but and as a part of that one, there is also that just a minute. S- Okay, here if I'll that invite other user into that one, they can share with alum that I can define that can view plus share. So if they want that share, they can that share it. But they can that
Okay,
if they are able to view it, they can also create a copy of using that one by modifying that one, or that if they want to create their own connector with the same details, they can also create if they are able to view it using the same. That
okay.
directly copy option is not available. They need to do it manually. They need to create all the that wizard step we have performed. They all need to perform it themselves with those details.
So no basic means idea behind this asking this question like when we have to migrate from different environment, right? One connected to one connected from one environment to another environment. So there is any provision or not
So
provided?
here that you can see the download option is also there. You can download and
Right.
upload.
Yeah.
That while creating a connector, you can also that using uploading a
Mm.
connection or import from GitHub or anywhere that you can import and download. So that is also option available. But again, that
Okay.
it's if that it depends on to your API endpoint and all other things. What is that accessible into your dev? It should be also that accessible into your production, and it should use same authentication, all those things. So keep in mind all those things, and that create one that connection for that as well. So that your app use same connection into
Mhm.
your production environment as
So
well.
maybe my question not related with connectors. I think when I started working with Power Apps, I have created certain Canvas apps, and I have to migrate Canvas apps from one environment to another environment. Let's say production. Then I have to recreate that environment, recreate that Canvas app in there. So how? currently
Actually,
because
Canvas app can also be that transferred, that you can download or that move from the tenant to tenant while downloading and upload that export import as well. For Canvas
because
app, as far as I know, that export import option is available and we have used that as well for our clients.
uh, yeah, means earlier I've seen when it started earlier,
Yeah,
it was not there.
correct.
Then we
Agree,
have
agree.
created certain solutions. There is a option called as solution we can create. There is a last option you can see in your screen, and we have
Yes.
created certain solutions, and then take a we took a copy of that solution like a template and migrate over.
Yes, so yes, to agree that
So
as we know that it's been only that 3 or 4 years only since that Power Platform has been introduced,
right, right,
and
right.
it's been that in huge demand as of now. So that they are that keep on adding that additional feature. Even we have seen into our custom connector as well. They have now added that code feature as well. Although still it is in preview, but that they are keep adding on more features and functionality on into this that Power Platform. So that's how that they are keep adding. So yeah, today we are that saying this might be that whenever that next time we are that meeting into any that event, there might be that some new
Mm,
changes are also applied into this custom
applied,
connectors as
right,
well.
right. And any kind of like you might were mostly connected with Power Platform, right? So recently we came across that there is a migration needs to be required. Requirement is there that Nintex platform needs to be migrated to Power Platform. So any is that any kind of solution available, or like
Direct
any
migration
tool that
from
direct?
if you want to directly move from Flow, I would that say check for third party. I'm not sure, but that ShareGate or other that might provide options. But that not sure they are that 100 that because actions and all those things are different. So it would be better you can create it manually in case if it is a Flow because that the tool that application
I
you
mean,
have that Nintex Flow in that Nintex
right.
mostly that popular for that their workflows. So I'm not sure that because
Yes.
I've not personally that got any chance to work on to this kind of.
No,
But yeah,
means we have, like you said, we have already migrated over 50 applications from Nintex platform to Power Platform. But like our organization is also checking on that front. Uh, is there any option available like ShareGate tool? But ShareGate tool is just for data migration. All this it cannot migrate Nintex platform to Power Platform like that.
in entire platform to platform, it will be that always difficult. Yes,
Right.
we do have that Vijay with us, who can also that have some insight, who can provide some insight because he have worked with migration some project as well. Yes, Vijay.
Yep. Um, and I'm not too sure, but Nintex is a workflow. It makes some automation. And Power, this Power Apps is something different. We can get everything from edge, as per my understanding.
I hope that answers your that question. Anyone else having that any questions? Please raise your hand or that unmute yourself and ask it or post it over chat as well. Okay, I guess no, I'm not able to see any questions into chat window as well as not any see any uh, entries. So thank you everyone. That thank you for your time, providing your time on this that Saturday and that be part of our platform bootcamp. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanket.
Thank you, Sanket.
Okay. Yep. Thank you everyone, that for joining us